Zechariah came forward and said to me, "Look up and see what it is that is appearing." I asked, "What is it?" He replied, "It is a measuring basket." And he added, "This is the iniquity of the people throughout the land." Then a cover of land was raised, and then the basket said the woman. They said, "This is wickedness," and they pushed her back into the basket and pushed the lead cover down over his mouth. Then I looked up, and there before me were two women with the wind in their wings. Their wings like those of a stork, and they lifted up the basket between heaven and earth. "Where are they taking the basket?" asked the angel, who was speaking to me. He replied, "To the country of Babylonia, to build a house for it. When it is ready, the basket will be set there in its place." Zechariah was the product of the Babylonian exile of the Jews in the 6th century before Christ. Born in Babylon, he returned to Jerusalem in 538 BC. Zechariah was from a priestly family, and he watched his people begin to rebuild the temple in 536 BC. They worked in Jerusalem language, however, and God spoke to Zechariah and Haggai and called them to deliver his message to the people. Rebuild the temple. While this was their immediate message, God also gave them a glimpse of the future plans for the nation of Israel. Zechariah had a vision about Babylon on February the 15th, 519 BC. On the 24th day of the 11th Hebrew month of Shebat, the second year of King Darius I the Great, who ruled from 522 to 486 BC. He saw a measuring basket in a cover that was said to contain the iniquity of the people throughout the land. The woman Zechariah saw was wickedness personified, as though all the evil deeds and actions done by mankind were represented by one character. The heavy lead cover was designed to keep the woman of wickedness from escaping. After showing Zechariah this scene, the angel pushed the woman into the basket and shut the lid. Obviously, Zechariah was not implying that God had removed all wickedness from the world. Rather, he had confined and limited it. God was restraining wickedness and keeping it in check so that it would not run free in the world. The basket was carried away by two angelic beings to the country of Babylonia or Babylon. Wickedness will be deposited in the land where men first rebelled against God, where a rebel named Nimrod led mankind to build a tower to reach God. Babylon was the city that threatened God's land of promise and sacked and burned Jerusalem. Wickedness, said the angel, would again reside in Babylon. But how? Zechariah had been living in the land of Babylon when he fell to the Medo-Persians. Could Babylon rise again? Yes. Zechariah's vision showed that the house of Babylon will rise again when it is ready. The time and place had not been right for thousands of years, but when God's prophetic plan is ready, Babylon will be rebuilt. Wickedness will again reign from the plain of Babylon. The city where man's rebellion against God began will be the site where man's rebellion will return to take up residence. Every day that passes brings us closer to the end times, and every day the eyes of the world focus more closely on events in the Middle East and Mesopotamia. One key element in God's program of end-time activities will be the re-establishment of Babylon as a world power, when wickedness will again occupy the city of man. And as Babylon takes its place in the center of the world stage as a religious, commercial, and political capital, it's time to open our eyes. The first sign of the rebuilding of Babylon appeared in 1987, which happened to cut out and paste about 15 years ago. Let me read to you the evidence from this news clipping. New Straits Times, Wednesday, September the 23rd, 1987. Iraq to reconstruct ancient city. Nicosia, Wednesday, Iraqi President Saddam Hussein has ordered the reconstruction of the ancient city of Babylon as a symbol of Iraq grandeur, the state-owned Iraqi news agency said. The announcement came amid ceremonies yesterday to mark the opening of a month-long Babylon International Festival at the site of the ruins of the ancient city 90 kilometers south of Baghdad. The news agency said Mr. Hussein in person has ordered Babylon's reconstruction to serve as a living example of the grandeur of the Iraqis. The ceremonies in Babylon coincided with Iranian ceremonies marking the 7th anniversary of the start of the Iran-Iraq War. INA said 2,500 years ago, Babylon came under attack of the Persian ruler Khoras or Cyrus, and his son Cambyses later ordered the city put to the torch. Gulf analysts said the move to restore the ruins of ancient Babylon, where Iraq was still locked in a devastating war with Iran, was aimed at shifting public attention from the bloody battles at the front. The Babylon Festival will continue until October the 22nd and will include performing groups from more than 50 countries. INA said Babylon, one of the most ancient cities of the world, has been revived, reconstructed and maintained especially for the festival, the Iraqi news agency Dispatch said. The news agency did not explain the apparent discrepancy in the report, which also said Mr. Hussein has ordered Babylon's reconstruction. At the height of its glory, Babylon contained the famous Hanging Gardens, considered one of the 7 wonders of the world. The Iraqi news agency did not say whether or not those two will be reconstructed. The festival activities will include concerts, operas, folk tributes, private ballet shows, acrobat shows, solo and jazz recitals, and theatre performance, the Iraqi news agency said. The special event will be attended by world-famous archaeologists, musicologists, and historians, INA said. Babylon was one of the world's most ancient, famous capitals in antiquity and served as a cultural center for 15 centuries. Babylon's original name was Babil. It is often translated as the gate of the gods. And 3 years later, on August 17, 1990, during the Iraqi invasion of Kuwait, New Straits Times put up this photo that shows the walls of Babylon begins to rise. Iraqis believe they originated from the union of a lion and a woman as symbolized by this statue. In the background are the walls of the outer courtyard of the ancient city of Babylon, which is undergoing restoration. Saddam Hussein launched the restoration of Babylon 4 years ago during the 1980 and 1988 war in Iran. He brought in more than 1,000 laborers from Sudan to toil in the desert heat on the banks of the Euphrates to rebuild Nebuchadnezzar's southern palace and other parts of the ruined city. Again, 3 years later, on November 4th, Thursday, 1993, New Straits Times reports, Babylon set for greater splendor. Babylon, Iraq. The entrance to the restored city of Babylon is adorned with portraits representing one of the ancient rulers, Hammurabi, the lawgiver, and the man who will outdo them, Iraqi President Saddam Hussein. At this site just 90 kilometers south of Iraq capital Baghdad, another of the city's ancient rulers, Nebuchadnezzar, constructed the palace and the Hanging Gardens that make Babylon one of the 7 wonders of the world. Saddam is trying to take Babylon to even greater heights of splendor, not so much out of archaeological interest, but as a symbol of defense to Iraq's enemies, mainly Israel. Babylon is a symbol surely political. Israel is against any Arab revival. Israel throughout history could not forget Babylon. Hebrew prophets of the Old Testament directed the bitter inventive of the exile against Babylon and its rulers. By its rivers more than 2,500 years ago, tens of thousands of Jews remembered Zion set in the web. Nebuchadnezzar had captured Jerusalem and took the Jews in chains along with the king to captivity in Babylon. Come, sit in the dust, for days of glory, pomp, and order are ended, Bible prophet Isaiah said of Babylon. But today artificial lakes and mountains, sumptuous palaces,